night stories, where nightmares become to life and shadows appear in the corners.
I swiped right on Jake because his profile screamed normal guy with a sense of humor. Photos of him hiking with his dog, a golden retriever named Max, and a bio that read, "Looking for someone to share bad puns and good coffee with. Bonus if you can beat me at trivia." No red flags, no shirtless gym selfies, no cryptic quotes about alpha males. He was 28, worked in marketing, and lived in a decent part of the city. After a week of texting, we agreed to meet at a cozy Italian place downtown. Safe, public, easy escape if needed. The date started great. Jake showed up on time, wearing a button-up shirt that actually fit, and he hugged me hello like we'd known each other forever. Conversation flowed. We bonded over our mutual hatred of pineapple on pizza and laughed about our worst job stories. He had this easy smile, dimples that made him look boyish, and he listened, really listened, when I talked about my graphic design gig. By the time we split a tiramisu, I was thinking, okay, this could be something. Want to head back to my place? He suggested as we stepped out into the cool evening air. I've got this killer bottle of red I've been saving, and Max would love to meet you. I hesitated for a second. Rule number 1 of dating apps: don't go to a stranger's house on the first date. But Jake seemed harmless, and his apartment was only a few blocks away. Plus, the wine sounded tempting after a long week. Sure, I said, texting my roommate the address just in case. But I can't stay too late, early meeting tomorrow. His place was on the 3rd floor of a walk-up brownstone, the kind with creaky stairs and exposed brick walls. It was clean, surprisingly so for a single guy. A leather couch, a coffee table stacked with books on digital marketing, and framed photos of family vacations. Max bounded over, tail wagging, and I knelt to pet him, feeling instantly at ease. Jake poured the wine, a smooth Cabernet, and we settled on the couch, chatting about our favorite podcasts. An hour in, things got a little flirty. He leaned in during a lull, his hand brushing my knee, and we kissed. It was nice. Not fireworks, but warm and promising. His lips tasted like wine, and he was gentle, not pushy. We pulled back, smiling, and he refilled our glasses. That's when it happened. Mid-sentence, as I was rambling about a recent trip to the coast, he casually dropped it. "Hey, Sarah," he said, his tone light like he was asking if I wanted more cheese on my pasta. "Are you okay being filmed?" I blinked, wine glass halfway to my mouth. "What? Filmed how?" He chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "Oh, just in general, like if things heat up." My stomach twisted a little. Was this some kink thing? I'd heard stories from friends about guys with weird requests, but this felt off. "I don't think so," I said, trying to keep it playful. "I'm not really into that." "Why?" He shrugged, taking a sip of wine. "No big deal, just checking. Some girls are cool with it." "Some girls?" I set my glass down, the cozy vibe evaporating. "Jake, is there a camera in here or something?" He paused, then grinned, like it was a joke we were both in on. "Yeah, actually, it's hidden pretty well, right?" My heart skipped. Hidden where? He pointed vaguely toward the bookshelf across the room, where a stack of novels hid what looked like a small black device, lens glinting if you knew where to look. "It's just a GoPro, discreet. I use it for content." "Content?" I echoed, scooting back on the couch. Max whined from his bed in the corner, sensing the shift. "Only fans," he said matter-of-factly, as if explaining his Netflix subscription. "I make stuff sometimes. Nothing crazy, just dates, hookups. People pay for the realness, Authenticity sells." I stared at him, the room suddenly feeling smaller. "You've been filming us this whole time without telling me?" He held up his hands defensively. "Whoa, relax, it's not like that. I always ask eventually, and it's blurred or whatever if someone says no. But most are fine once they hear about the split. 50-50 on earnings." "Earnings?" My mind raced. How long had that camera been rolling? The kiss? Our conversation? I glanced at the door, calculating the steps to get there. "Turn it off, now." Jake sighed, like I was being unreasonable. "Come on, Sarah, it's harmless, think about it. You could make a couple $100 easy, and it's fun. Liberating." I stood up, grabbing my purse. This isn't fun, this is creepy as hell. You should have told me up front. He didn't move from the couch, just watched me with that same easy smile. You're overreacting. It's the 21st century. Everyone's got a side hustle. Besides, the footage is already uploading to my cloud. Deleting it now wouldn't change much. Uploading? My skin crawled. What the fuck, Jake? That's illegal. Consent matters. He laughed, a short, dismissive bark. Illegal? It's my apartment, and you came here willingly. Read the terms. OnlyFans has disclaimers. I backed toward the door, fumbling for my phone. Max stood up, ears perked, but Jake snapped his fingers and the dog sat back down. Sarah, wait, let's talk about this. I can show you the setup. It's professional. Professional? My hand found the doorknob. I'm leaving, and if I see any of that online, I'm calling the cops. As I turned to go, he called out, You won't find it. I use aliases, but hey, if you change your mind. I slammed the door behind me, heart pounding as I hurried down the stairs. The street outside was quiet, streetlights casting long shadows. I hailed a cab, sliding into the back seat and locking the door before giving the driver my address. Only then did I let myself breathe, checking my phone. No missed calls, but I texted my roommate. Date was a bust, creep alert, home soon. Back in my apartment, I double-locked the door and poured myself a glass of water, hands shaking. The kiss replayed in my mind, now tainted. How many other women had he done this to? I Googled hidden camera OnlyFans dates on my phone, scrolling through horror stories on Reddit. Women discovering videos of themselves online, faces blurred but voices recognizable, lives upended by revenge porn disguised as content. I changed into pajamas and crawled into bed, but sleep wouldn't come. Every creak in the building made me jump. What if he followed me? What if that footage was already out there? I blocked him on Bumble and everywhere else, but it felt futile. In the dark, I stared at the ceiling, wondering if I'd ever feel safe swiping again. The next morning, I woke to a notification, a new email from an unknown address. The subject line, Missed you last night. Attached was a thumbnail, a still from his camera, me on the couch laughing obliviously. My blood ran cold. I didn't open it, but deleted it immediately, hands trembling. Was this a threat? A joke? I called in sick to work and paced my living room, debating whether to go to the police. What proof did I have? The email was from a burner account, no name attached. By afternoon, curiosity and fear won out. I created a fake OnlyFans profile, searching for keywords like Bumble date and hidden cam. Pages of results, but one creator caught my eye. Real date adventures. The bio, authentic hookups, no scripts. Subscribe for the thrill. I clicked through previews, blurred faces, but the settings matched. That same bookshelf, that leather couch. Videos titled, Shy Graphic Designer Gets Wild, stared back at me. The upload date, last night. Panic surged. That was me. Blurred or not, my voice, my laugh, they'd give me away to anyone who knew me. Comments flooded in. Hot AF. More like her. Love the surprise reveal. I slammed my laptop shut, nausea rising. How do I stop this? Report to OnlyFans? But they'd need proof it was non-consensual, and Jake probably had some fake waiver. I thought about lawyers, but who could afford that? That evening, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Hey Sarah, it's Jake. Sorry if I freaked you out. Want to grab coffee and discuss? I can take down the vid if you model for a custom one. Your call. I blocked the number, but another came through minutes later. Or not, your loss. Fans are loving it. I unplugged my phone, curling up on the couch. The city outside hummed, indifferent. This wasn't supernatural, no ghosts or monsters. Just a guy with a camera and a platform turning violation into profit. And me, trapped in his digital web. The next morning I woke up with a knot in my stomach, the kind that feels like it's strangling your insides. The apartment was too quiet, sunlight slicing through the blinds, mocking my sleepless night. That thumbnail from Jake's email haunted me. Me laughing on his couch, oblivious to the lens stealing my privacy. I checked my phone. No new messages, but the silence felt like a taunt. He was out there, probably editing more footage while I sat here paralyzed. I couldn't just wait for him to leak more. I grabbed my laptop and reopened the fake OnlyFans account I'd made. The Real Date Adventures page was still up, the video titled, "Shy Graphic Designer Gets Wild Now," with over 1,000 views. My chest tightened. I clicked the report button, typing furiously. Non-consensual content recorded without my knowledge. But the form asked for proof, screenshots, timestamps, my real name. If I submitted this, I'd be outing myself, linking my identity to the video. What if my boss saw it, my family? I slammed the laptop shut and called my best friend, Mia. She picked up on the second ring, her voice groggy. "Sarah, you okay?" "No," I said, voice cracking as I spilled everything. The date, the hidden camera, the email, the video. Mia listened, her gasps punctuating my story. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "That's fucked up," she said finally. "You need to go to the police, like now." "I know, but what if they can't do anything? He said it's his apartment and I went there willingly. What if they say it's my fault?" "Sarah, stop. He recorded you without consent. That's illegal, period. At least file a report so there's a paper trail." She was right, but the thought of walking into a precinct, explaining this to some cop who might smirk or shrug, made my skin crawl. Still, doing nothing wasn't an option. I showered, threw on jeans and a hoodie, and headed to the nearest police station. The officer at the desk, a middle-aged guy with a buzz cut, barely looked up from his paperwork. I stumbled through my story, my face burning as I described the hidden camera and OnlyFans. He scribbled notes, his expression unreadable. "So you didn't see the camera until he pointed it out?" he asked, chewing gum. "No, it was hidden, that's the point." "And you went to his place voluntarily?" I clenched my fists. "Yes, but I didn't agree to be filmed. He didn't ask until after." He nodded, jotting more notes. "We'll look into it, but these cases are tricky. If it's his property and there's no clear evidence of coercion..." My heart sank. "What about the video online? My voice is on it. People could recognize me." OnlyFans has its own reporting system. "Try that first. We can follow up, but without a clear crime scene or physical evidence, it's tough to move fast." I left the station feeling smaller than when I'd walked in. The officer had given me a case number and the vague promise to follow up, but I knew what that meant. Nothing would happen unless I pushed. Back home, I Googled revenge porn laws in my state. Non-consensual recording was illegal, but proving it was a nightmare. I'd need Jake's real name, his account details, maybe even the original footage. The thought of digging through his digital life made me nauseous, but I wasn't helpless. I texted Mia for moral support, then dove into research. Using my fake OnlyFans account, I screenshotted everything. Jake's profile, the video previews, the comments. I searched X for Real Date Adventures and found a few posts promoting his content, all from burner accounts. One user, Datecam King, had a similar vibe, same city, same cryptic, authentic content pitch. I clicked through their followers, spotting a few overlap with Jake's Bumble profile friends I'd glimpsed before I blocked him. It wasn't proof, but it was a start. Then I remembered his email. I'd deleted it, but it was still in my trash folder. I recovered it, heart pounding as I opened the attachment again. The thumbnail was low res, but it was definitely me. My red sweater, my nervous smile. The email itself was short. "Missed you last night. Let's talk soon. Jay." No mention of OnlyFans, but the implication was clear. I forwarded it to myself with a timestamp, then saved it to a USB drive. If I was building a case, every scrap mattered. That night, I got another text from a new number. "Saw you reported the vid. Not cool, Sarah. Let's work this out." My hands shook as I blocked it, but 5 minutes later another came. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." I turned off my phone and curled up on the couch, Max's wagging tail flashing in my mind. Jake had seemed so normal, so charming. How had I missed this? I thought back to our date, his easy laugh, the way he'd listened. Had it all been an act to lure me to his apartment? How many other women were on his page, their lives fractured by his side hustle? The next day I called a lawyer recommended by a friend of Mia's. She specialized in digital privacy cases, and agreed to a free consultation. Over Zoom, I laid out everything, showing her the screenshots and email. Her face stayed calm, professional, but her words were firm. "This is a clear violation," she said. "Non-consensual recording and distribution of intimate content is illegal under state law. The challenge is enforcement. We can send a cease and desist letter to OnlyFans and demand the content be removed. If he's using aliases, we'll need to subpoena his account details, which could take time." "What about the police?" I asked. "They're often slow on cases like this, but you did the right thing filing a report. Keep pushing them. In the meantime, I can draft a letter to OnlyFans and start tracking his digital footprint. If he's done this to others, there might be a pattern." A pattern. The thought made me sick. How many women had sat on that couch petting Max, unaware of the lens? I gave her the go-ahead, even though her fees would drain my savings. I couldn't let this go. That evening, I got an email from OnlyFans. My report had been reviewed, but they needed additional evidence to remove the content. I screamed into a pillow, then forwarded the email to the lawyer. Mia came over with takeout, trying to cheer me up, but I barely ate. "You're fighting back," she said. "That's what matters." But it didn't feel like enough. Late that night, I unblocked one of Jake's numbers and texted, "Take the video down, or I'm escalating this. I have a lawyer." His reply came within minutes. "Escalate all you want. You'll be the one embarrassed. Fans love you." I didn't respond, but his words burned. He was banking on my shame, my fear of exposure. I lay awake, imagining the video spreading, co-workers whispering, my parents finding out. But then I thought of the other women, the ones who might not know yet. I wasn't just fighting for me. The next morning, I called the police again, demanding an update. The same officer answered, sounding annoyed. "We're working on it, ma'am. These things take time." "Then work faster," I snapped. "He's threatening me now." That got his attention. He took down the new texts and promised to escalate the case. I didn't trust him, but it was something. I emailed the lawyer again, attaching the texts. She replied quickly, "This strengthens our case. Keep documenting." Days passed, each one a tightrope walk between fear and fury. The video stayed up, racking up views. I stopped checking OnlyFans, afraid of what I'd see. Then a week later, a breakthrough. The lawyer found 2 other women who'd reported similar experiences with real date adventures. They were willing to join a civil suit. The police, finally prodded by the lawyer's calls, subpoenaed Jake's account details. One night, my phone buzzed with a new email from the lawyer. "Content removed. Subpoena served. He's been identified." Relief flooded me, but it was short-lived. Jake was still out there, and I didn't know what he'd do next. I double-checked my locks, drew the curtains, and sat in the dark, phone in hand. The fight wasn't over, but I wasn't alone anymore. And that, at least, gave me a sliver of hope. I swiped right on Jake because his profile screamed normal guy. 32, software engineer, photos of him hiking in the Rockies, playing guitar at a coffee shop open mic, and one with his golden retriever named Max. His bio was straightforward. Looking for someone to share bad puns and good hikes with. Bonus if you like craft beer. No red flags, no gym selfies, no cryptic quotes about alpha vibes. We'd chatted for a week on Bumble. Easy banter about our favorite breweries and how we both hated pineapple on pizza. He suggested meeting at the Hop Yard, a cozy pub downtown with outdoor seating. It felt safe, public, low pressure. I told my roommate Sarah where I'd be just in case. That Friday evening, I arrived a few minutes early, nerves buzzing like they always do on first dates. I wore my go-to outfit, jeans, a black top, and boots. Casual but put together. The place was bustling, string lights twinkling over picnic tables, the air thick with hops and laughter. I spotted him right away at a corner table, waving with a genuine smile, taller than his photos suggested, with messy brown hair and a flannel shirt. "Emily," he said, standing to hug me awkwardly. "You look just like your pics. No filters needed, huh?" We ordered drinks, IPA for him, lager for me, and dove into small talk. He asked about my job as a graphic designer, laughed at my stories about picky clients. I learned he grew up in a small town in Oregon, moved to the city for work, and yeah, Max was his best buddy. It flowed naturally, no forced silences. He seemed attentive, not overly flirty, which was refreshing after a string of duds on the app. By the second round, I was relaxed, even sharing about my ex who ghosted me after 3 months. People are weird, Jake said, shaking his head. But hey, that's why we're here, right? Fresh starts. Our phones were on the table, mine in a sparkly case next to my glass, his in a plain black one beside his. We both had the same model, iPhone 14, silver. Twinsies, I joked when I noticed. He chuckled, picking his up to show me a photo of Max mid-fetch. He's the real star of my profile. As the night wore on, the pub filled up, music playing softly in the background. I excused myself to the bathroom after our third drink, feeling a pleasant buzz. When I came back, Jake was scrolling on his phone, but he set it down quickly. "Everything okay?" I asked, sliding back into my seat. "Yeah, just checking work email, boring stuff." He smiled, but there was a flicker, something off in his eyes. I brushed it away, probably the alcohol. We kept talking, but he seemed a bit distracted now, glancing at his watch. "You got somewhere to be?" I teased. "Nah, just nature calls." He stood up, grabbing his phone, or what I thought was his, and headed toward the bathrooms. I sipped my beer, people watching the crowd. A couple at the next table was arguing quietly. A group of friends burst into laughter. Minutes ticked by. 5, then 10. I checked the time on my phone. Wait, where was it? I patted my pockets, looked under the table. Gone. My heart skipped. Did I leave it in the bathroom? No, I'd had it out earlier. I flagged down a server. "Hey, did you see the guy I was with, tall, flannel shirt?" She frowned. "He left about 5 minutes ago, paid the tab at the bar. Left, without saying goodbye." I stood, scanning the patio, the street beyond. No sign of him. Panic crept in as I realized our phones looked identical. Had he taken mine by mistake? I grabbed what I assumed was his from the table. Same case, same model. But when I pressed the home button, it asked for a passcode. Not Face ID. Mine had that enabled. This wasn't mine. Oh God. I tried to think rationally. Maybe an honest mix-up. He'd realize soon and come back, right? But why leave without a word? I opened Bumble on his phone? No, I couldn't access anything without the code. Frustration built as I stood there, the pub noise fading into a hum. Sarah. Call Sarah, but how? I didn't have my phone. A bartender let me use the landline. Sarah picked up on the second ring. "Em, what's wrong? You're supposed to be on your date." He took my phone, I think by accident, but he just vanished. "Can you come get me?" She was there in 15 minutes, her car idling at the curb. I climbed in, clutching the stranger's phone like a lifeline. "This is weird," she said, eyeing it. "Try calling your number." I did from her phone. It rang once, twice, then voicemail. My voice, "Hey, it's Emily, leave a message." No answer. We drove home in tense silence, my mind racing. Access to everything, photos from vacations, banking apps logged in, emails, contacts. Private stuff like those selfies I never meant to share. And if it wasn't an accident? Back at the apartment, I plugged in the phone, his phone, and stared at the lock screen. A generic wallpaper, no notifications popping up. Sarah paced. Report it to the police or Bumble? Police might think it's just a lost phone, but the creep factor was sinking in. Why take it and bolt? I tried the passcode, 001234, his birth year from our chats. Nothing. Then, a notification buzzed on the screen. A text from an unknown number. "Hey Jake, fun night?" My stomach dropped. That was my number. I'd sent that? No, I hadn't. Someone was using my phone to text him. To text this phone. "Sarah," I whispered, showing her. "He's got my phone and he's pretending to be me." Another buzz. A photo attachment. I couldn't open it without the code, but the preview thumbnail was tiny. Me, in my bathroom mirror from months ago. A private pic I'd never shared. He wasn't coming back, this wasn't an accident. We called the police non-emergency line, but they said it sounded like theft. File a report online. Track it via Find My iPhone. I logged into iCloud on Sarah's laptop. My phone's location, offline. He'd turned it off, or worse. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the apartment made me jump. What was he doing with my data, changing passwords, draining accounts, or just watching? I deleted my Bumble profile from Sarah's phone, but it felt too late. The next morning, a knock at the door. Sarah answered, cautious. A delivery guy with a small package. For Emily? I tore it open, my phone, screen cracked, battery dead. No note, plugged it in, wiped clean, factory reset, everything gone. But in the settings, a new iCloud login. He'd been inside my life, and now he could be anywhere. The cracked screen of my phone stared back at me. A taunting reminder of Jake's intrusion. Sarah hovered over my shoulder as I powered it on, the Apple logo flickering to life. The factory reset meant no photos, no texts, no apps. Just a blank slate with that chilling iCloud login. Jake the Snake, anonymousmail.com. My skin crawled. He'd been in my digital life, and now he was gone, leaving this ghost of himself behind. I changed the iCloud password immediately, hands shaking, but it felt like locking the door after a burglary. Sarah pushed a mug of coffee toward me. You need to go to the police in person, Em. This isn't just theft, it's creepy as hell. I nodded, but my mind was spiraling. What did he want? My bank account hadn't been touched. I'd checked online, frozen my cards just in case. No weird emails sent, no social media posts from my accounts. But those private photos, the ones I'd never shared, like the bathroom selfie he'd texted to his own phone. What was he doing with them? I felt exposed, violated in a way I couldn't articulate. The police station was a blur of fluorescent lights and paperwork. The officer, a tired-looking woman named Martinez, took my statement but didn't sugarcoat it. Without a last name, address, or proof he intentionally took your phone, there's not much we can do. Dating apps are a gray area. People use fake names, fake photos. Did you get a license plate? Any other identifying info? I shook my head, feeling stupid. Just his first name, Jake, and he said he was a software engineer. I showed her the phone, the iCloud email, the wiped data. She scribbled notes, promised to file a report, but her tone said it all, low priority. We'll look into it, but these cases are tough. Block him on Bumble, change all your passwords, maybe get a new number. Back home, I scoured the internet for Jake the Snake, anonymousmail.com. Nothing. Anonymous Mail was a burner service, designed for temporary untraceable emails. I tried searching Jake software engineer with the city name, but it was like chasing a shadow. Sarah suggested checking X for posts about Bumble scams or creepy dates, so I scrolled through threads. A few horror stories popped up. Guys ghosting after asking for nudes, one about a stolen wallet. But nothing like my situation. I posted anonymously. Bumble date took my phone, wiped it, left creepy iCloud login. Anyone else? No replies by evening. I couldn't shake the feeling he was still out there, watching. I taped over my laptop's webcam, checked the locks twice. Sarah offered to stay up, but I told her to get some rest. Alone in my room, I plugged my phone in to restore from an old backup. As it synced, a notification pinged. Not from my phone, but his, still sitting on my desk. Another text from my number. Miss me yet? My breath caught. I hadn't reactivated my SIM yet. Someone was still using my number or spoofing it. I grabbed Sarah's phone and dialed mine again, straight to voicemail. I texted back from his phone, "Who is this? What do you want?" No reply. I powered his phone off, terrified it was somehow tracking me. The next day, I went to my phone carrier. They confirmed my SIM was inactive, but couldn't explain the texts. Could be a spoofing app, the text said. Scammers use them to fake numbers. Get a new SIM, new number. I did, but it felt like running from something I couldn't see. At home, I restored most of my data, photos, contacts, apps, but the violation lingered. Every notification made me jump. A week later, I got an email from an unknown address, no name, just a string of numbers. Check your cloud. My iCloud was locked down, new password, two-factor authentication. But when I logged in, a new folder sat in my photos. Jake's favorites. Inside were screenshots of my private photos, Some I'd deleted years ago, others from my phone's hidden album. Below them, a note. You're even prettier when you don't know I'm watching. I called Martinez, forwarded the email, but she sounded skeptical. Could be someone phishing trying to scare you. Don't click any links. We'll trace the email, but these anonymous services are tough. I deleted the folder, changed every password again, but sleep was impossible. Was he hacking me? Had he cloned my phone before wiping it? Desperate, I hired a private cybersecurity guy, recommended by a coworker. His name was Derek, a wiry dude with a laptop full of hacking tools. He came over, analyzed both phones. Your phone's clean now, he said after an hour. But his? It's got a custom firmware, subtle but sophisticated. Could have been logging your data while it was here. Keystrokes, maybe even camera access. He wiped it completely, advised me to ditch both phones for new ones. I did, but the cost stung, hundreds down the drain. Derek also traced the anonymous email to a VPN in Eastern Europe. Probably a dead end, he warned. This guy knows what he's doing. Software engineer makes sense. Maybe not the small-town dog dad he claimed. I stopped using dating apps. Every guy on the street in a flannel shirt made my heart race. Sarah pushed me to get therapy, and I did, but talking about trust issues didn't erase the paranoia. Then a month later, a new message on X replying to my old post. Same thing happened to me. Guy named Jake took my phone, sent creepy texts later. DM me. Her name was Lauren, a nurse in a neighboring city. We met at a coffee shop. She looked as shaken as I felt. Her story mirrored mine. Charming Bumble date, phone mix-up, wiped device returned via delivery. Same iCloud email. She'd gotten a photo too. A selfie she'd never shared, texted from her own number after the phone was gone. I moved, she whispered. I keep thinking he's following me. We compared notes. Same dog pics, same Oregon backstory. She'd saved a screenshot of his Bumble profile before deleting hers. I stared at it, his smile now sinister. Lauren had reported it too, but no leads. We vowed to keep in touch, share any updates. That night my new phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Nice meeting, Lauren. Told you I'm always watching. Attached was a photo of us at the coffee shop, taken from across the street. I froze. He was still out there, closer than I thought. The bar was dim, the kind of place where neon signs buzzed faintly, and the air smelled like cheap whiskey and regret. I'd been chatting with Mia for a week on Bumble. Her profile a mix of witty one-liners and those perfectly curated photos that made you wonder if she was real. Dark hair, sharp green eyes, and a smile that could cut glass. When she suggested meeting at this dive bar on the edge of town, I didn't think twice. I was 29, single, and tired of swiping. A real date felt like a win. She was already there when I arrived, perched on a stool, sipping something clear and fizzy. In person, Mia was even better than her photos. Confident, quick with a laugh, and just the right amount of flirty. We talked for hours, the conversation flowing like the drinks. She was a paralegal, she said, working at a law firm downtown. She liked hiking, hated reality TV, and had a weird obsession with true crime podcasts. I told her about my job in IT, my dog, and how I'd once accidentally set off the fire alarm in my apartment trying to cook. She laughed, her eyes crinkling at the corners, and I thought, this is going well. By midnight, the bar was thinning out, and we were both a little buzzed. I should head home, she said, checking her phone. But this was fun, really fun. Let me call you an Uber, I offered, pulling out my phone. She waved a hand. No, I've got it, I'll get a ride. But you should stick around, make sure I get in okay. Her tone was light, but there was something in her eyes, a flicker of something I couldn't place. I nodded, and we stepped outside into the cool September air. The street was quiet, the neon glow of the bar sign casting long shadows on the pavement. Mia tapped at her phone, her fingers moving quickly. It'll be here in a minute, she said, glancing up with a smile. I leaned against the wall, hands in my pockets, trying to play it cool. So, you gonna let me take you out again? She tilted her head, her lips curling into a smirk. Maybe, if you're lucky. Before I could respond, headlights cut through the darkness. A car pulled up to the curb. A black sedan, older, maybe a Toyota or Honda, with a faint dent on the hood. The windows were tinted, and the engine idled low, almost too quiet. I frowned. No Uber sticker, no Lyft logo, just a random car. Mia didn't seem fazed. She stepped toward the passenger door, then turned back to me. "This is my ride." I hesitated. "That's not an Uber." She laughed a little too sharply. "It's fine, Jake. I know the driver, friend of a friend." Before I could say anything else, the driver's window rolled down just enough for a voice to call out, "Mia, you good?" It was a man's voice, low and rough, like he'd smoked one too many cigarettes. "Yeah, I'm good," she called back, then looked at me. "See, totally fine. I'll text you, okay?" Something felt off. My gut twisted, that primal instinct you get when you know you're missing a piece of the puzzle. "Wait," I said, stepping closer. "You sure about this? I can get you an actual Uber. It's no trouble." Her smile tightened just for a second. "You're sweet, but I'm good, really." She opened the passenger door and I caught a glimpse of the driver, just a shadow of a man, his face obscured by a baseball cap pulled low. "Mia," the driver said again, and this time his tone wasn't a question. It was familiar, like he knew her, not a friend of a friend knew her, like they'd done this before. She slid into the passenger seat and the door shut with a dull thud. The car didn't move right away, and for a moment I stood there, frozen, watching the tinted windows. I couldn't see her, couldn't see the driver, but I felt their eyes on me. My phone buzzed in my pocket and I glanced down. A notification from Bumble. Mia had unmatched me. The car pulled away, tires crunching on the gravel lot, and disappeared around the corner. I stood there, alone, the night air biting at my skin. My buzz was gone, replaced by a gnawing unease. Why had she unmatched me? Why was that car so wrong? I tried to shake it off, telling myself I was being paranoid. Maybe she did know the driver. Maybe she just wasn't feeling it and unmatched me to avoid an awkward follow-up. But as I walked to my car, I couldn't stop replaying the night. The way she dodged questions about her life. The way her smile never quite reached her eyes. The way the driver had said her name. When I got home, I couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop and started digging. Her Bumble profile was gone, obviously, but we'd exchanged numbers earlier in the night. I texted her, "Hey, you get home okay?" No response. I called and it went straight to voicemail, a generic robot voice, no name. I Googled her name, Mia Thompson, along with paralegal and the city. Nothing, no LinkedIn, no Facebook, no trace of her. I tried the law firm she'd mentioned, but their website didn't list her as an employee. My stomach sank. Had she lied about her job, her name? I opened Bumble again, hoping I'd missed something. But her profile was a ghost. Then I remembered her mentioning a true crime podcast she loved, Murder on the Mic. I found it online, scrolled through the episodes, and froze. One of the recent episodes was about a string of disappearances in the area. Men, all in their 20s and 30s, last seen after dates arranged through apps like Bumble. The details were vague, but one line stuck out. In several cases, victims were last seen entering vehicles that did not match the description of their intended rideshare. My heart pounded. I grabbed my phone and texted a friend telling him what had happened just in case. Then I called the bar hoping they had security cameras. The bartender picked up, his voice gruff. "Cameras? Yeah, we got 'em, but they're spotty. You'd have to come by tomorrow." I didn't want to wait. I opened X and searched for Mia's name, the bar, anything that might give me a lead. A few posts popped up about the bar, mostly complaints about overpriced drinks. But one caught my eye. It was from a week ago, a guy ranting about a date who ditched him for some sketchy car, after they'd hit it off. He'd tagged the bar and mentioned a woman with dark hair and green eyes. No name, but the description was too close to be a coincidence. I scrolled further, my hands shaking. Another post, older, from a different guy. Same story. A date, a car that wasn't an Uber, a woman who vanished. The pattern was there, staring me in the face. I didn't know what Mia was involved in, but I knew it wasn't good. The driver's voice echoed in my head, the way he'd said her name like it was a signal. I thought about calling the police, but what would I say? I had no proof, just a bad feeling and a car I couldn't describe. I locked my door, checked the windows, and sat on my couch, my phone in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other. The apartment was silent, but every creak made me jump. I kept thinking about that car, the tinted windows, the dent on the hood. And Mia's smile. Sharp, calculated, like she'd been playing a game I didn't know the rules to. I didn't sleep that night. I kept my phone on, waiting for a text that never came. By morning, I knew I had to go back to the bar, check the cameras, find something, anything, that could tell me who Mia was and what the hell I'd just walked into. The morning sun did nothing to shake the dread clinging to me like damp clothes. I barely slept. The image of that black sedan and Mia's too-perfect smile burned into my mind. By 8 a.m., I was back at the bar, the gravel lot looking less ominous in daylight but no less empty. The neon sign was off, and the place felt like a husk of last night's energy. I pushed through the door, the stale smell of beer hitting me as the same gruff bartender from the phone call looked up from wiping down the counter. "You the guy about the cameras?" he asked, barely glancing at me. "Yeah," I said, my voice hoarse. "I need to see last night's footage around midnight outside." He sighed, tossing the rag aside. "Follow me, but don't get your hopes up. System's old. Half the time it's just static." He led me to a cramped back office that smelled like mildew and cigarettes. A dusty monitor sat on a desk cluttered with empty coffee cups and receipts. He clicked through a few folders on a computer that looked like it belonged in 2005, pulling up grainy footage from the parking lot. My stomach churned as I recognized the scene. Me and Mia standing by the curb, the black sedan pulling up. The camera angle was high, but the image was blurry. The car's license plate unreadable. I could make out Mia's dark hair and my awkward lean against the wall, but the driver's face was a shadow under that baseball cap. "Anything else?" the bartender asked, already halfway out the door. "Can you zoom in on the car, maybe?" He grunted, fiddled with the mouse, and enlarged the frame. It didn't help much. The tint on the windows hid everything inside. But I noticed something. The dent on the hood had a faint scratch running through it, shaped like a jagged L. It wasn't much, but it was something. I thanked him and left, my mind racing. I sat in my car, opened X, and searched again, this time adding black sedan dented hood to the keywords. Nothing specific came up, but a post from a local crime watch group caught my eye. It was a warning about suspicious vehicles in the area, mentioning a black sedan with tinted windows spotted near bars and clubs. No plate number, no clear description of the driver, just a vague call to stay vigilant. The comments were a mix of paranoia and jokes, but one user mentioned seeing a similar car near a gas station a few miles from the bar, late at night. I drove to the gas station, a rundown shell with flickering lights and a clerk who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. I asked if they had cameras pointing to the lot. He shrugged, said they did, but I'd need to talk to the manager, who wouldn't be in until tomorrow. Frustrated, I bought a coffee I didn't want and stood outside, scanning the lot like I'd magically spot the car. Nothing. Just a few beat-up trucks and a minivan. Back home, I called the police. The officer on the line sounded bored, taking my statement with all the enthusiasm of someone reading a grocery list. "So you met a woman, she got into a car, and now you're worried?" he said, summarizing it like I was overreacting. I mentioned the podcast, the disappearances, the sedan, but he cut me off. "We'll look into it, but unless you've got evidence of a crime, there's not much we can do." I hung up feeling like I'd just shouted into a void. That night I couldn't sit still. I kept checking my phone, hoping Mia would text back, even though I knew she wouldn't. I opened my laptop and dug deeper, cross-referencing the podcast's details with local news. The disappearances were real. 5 men over the past year, all last seen after dates, all linked to rides that weren't Uber or Lyft. One article mentioned a suspect, a person of interest described as a man in his 30s, medium build, often seen in a cap. No name, no photo. The women they'd been with were never identified, like they'd vanished into thin air. I started to wonder if Mia was a lure, part of some kind of scam, or worse. The driver's voice kept replaying in my head. Too familiar, too deliberate. I searched her number online, hoping for a hit, but it was a dead end, likely a burner. Then I remembered her mentioning the law firm. I called their office, pretending to be a client looking for a paralegal named Mia Thompson. The receptionist paused, then said, "We don't have anyone by that name. You sure you have the right firm?" By now, my nerves were shot. I wasn't just scared for myself, I was angry. Angry at Mia, at the driver, at myself for not seeing the red flags. I posted on X, keeping it vague. Anyone else meet a woman named Mia on Bumble? Dark hair, green eyes, left in a black sedan with a dented hood? I didn't expect much, but within an hour, I had 2 DMs. One was a guy who'd gone on a date with a woman matching that description a month ago. Same deal. She'd called a ride. A black sedan showed up, and she unmatched him right after. The other was a woman who said her brother had gone missing after a Bumble date 6 months ago. She didn't know details, but the car he'd gotten into wasn't an Uber. I felt sick. I messaged both back, asking for more info, and the guy sent me a blurry photo he'd snapped of the car as it pulled away. The dent on the hood was there, with that same jagged L scratch. I forwarded it to the police along with everything else I'd found, but the officer's response was a curt, "We'll follow up." That night, I couldn't stay in my apartment. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow looked like that car idling outside. I packed a bag and crashed at my friend's place, telling him everything. He thought I was being paranoid, but didn't argue when I asked to sleep on his couch. Around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You should have let it go, Jake." My blood ran cold. I hadn't told Mia my last name, and I'd never mentioned my name on X. I showed the text to my friend, who looked as freaked out as I felt. We called the police again, and this time they took me seriously, saying they'd trace the number and check the bar's footage. But I knew it wouldn't be enough. Whoever Mia and the driver were, they were careful. Too careful. The next day, I went back to the gas station. The manager was there, a tired-looking woman who let me see the footage after some begging. I scanned hours of grainy video until I saw it. The black sedan, parked at a pump 2 nights ago. The driver got out, a man in a cap, face still hidden. He paid in cash, glanced at the camera for half a second, then got back in. I couldn't see his eyes, but I knew he was watching. I'm still looking over my shoulder, still checking X for leads. The police say they're investigating, but I don't trust them to find Mia or the driver before they find me. I don't know what they wanted, money, something worse, but I know I was lucky. I got out of that bar alive. Others didn't. And somewhere out there, Mia's probably swiping right, setting up her next date, while that black sedan waits in the shadows, its engine idling like a predator holding its breath. Thank you for listening. Hope you didn't get too scared. If you want to listen more stories, check out my channel. Please leave a like and subscribe. It means the whole world to me.